Hi, this is Dana with Dana Digital Tutorials. Today we're going to look at upscalers. We're going to look at the processes to make them work, and we're going to compare the results. We're going to look at online, web-based versions, standalone versions, and the native upscaler under neural filters in Photoshop. Let's get started. So go to your favorite browser and you'll use your search engine and you'll look at image upscaler. You can add the word free if you want. And they're all about the same. They're going to cap you at either 2x or 4,000 pixels without paying. So if we click on Pixel Cut here, you'll notice I don't even need to sign in. I can just click Upscale Image, and then I can upload an image. So I'm just going to drag it, but you could also click that blue bar and open it there. So you're going to notice that it is automatically doing a 2x upscale for me. It does take a minute. Once it's done, we can click on the 4x, but when I click on that, I'm going to get a pop-up box, and that pop-up box is going to tell me that I need to upgrade. I can save my 2x and I can download it, and then I could re-upload that 2x, but it's going to give me the same pop-up like you can see here because it would be bigger than 4,000 pixels across. I don't want to pay $60 a year for a subscription because there are better options. Some of them will allow you to pay per image, but I think that's going to be even more expensive. So let's go over and look at Kittl. If you have Kittl subscription and you use it to do your design work, you can also do upscale here. I've already loaded the image, and you can just click this AI image upscaler. And according to Kittl, they will upscale this to 4,096 on the longest side. So again, you're going to have problems if you're trying to get to a 5,000 pixel width image. Some of your choices would be to download it and upscale it using Photoshop or another program, or you could just stretch it, which you would be having issues with the quality of that image because it will degrade if you're artificially stretching it bigger than it is. So number one, I don't want to use my credits that I could be using to create images. And number two, 4,000 pixels wide is not what I'm looking for. So this is not a good option for me. Let's pop into Gigapixel, which is by Topaz. And here you've got a nice little interface and you can browse your images or you can drag and drop. So if I were to take my folder here, I could drag and drop these images. Or I could actually drag my entire folder. If I drag my entire folder, it will work on all the images in that folder. But today we're just going to drag one image. And you can see here that this has brought it up, and we have some options here. We can work with width, height, or scale. We're going to stay on scale because we're upscaling. If you were to use just the 1x, it's not going to upscale, but then it would allow you to sharpen or use some of these other features down here. We're not looking to do that, so we would want the 4x to get to that 5,000 pixels. You could do 2x as well, but 4x is what we're going to focus on. And then we would hit export file, and it's going to name it. The default here is to add the word gigapixel at the end, and then how much it has expanded. It is going to save right in the same folder where your original image is unless you tell it to save somewhere else. But we're not going to actually click save because we've already done this, and I'll bring that up in a few minutes. So another one we have is a free open source program called Upscale. It's spelled a little different if you'll notice here, Upscayle. Because it is open source, it is free. And you have a couple of options. You can batch scale, like before. You can drag a folder in here once you do batch scale. Or you can just do one image at a time, which we're going to do today. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this image, and we're going to be looking at it. And this model here, you can do the drop down. I have tested these. I don't see much of a difference between these options. Digital art is a little bit different, but the rest are so minuscule in their difference that I choose to just stick with the first one. You've got this feature called double upscale here, and double upscale will do just that. It's going to take this image, it's going to 4x it, it's going to save it, then it's going to bring it back in, and it's going to 4x it again, and that would give us a large image, 20,000 pixels across, and I don't think any of us need an image that big unless you're working on a billboard. So we're going to stick with the 4x. If you don't change your output folder, it's going to save in the same place that this image is. It's going to add an appendage on the end, just like Gigapixel, where it's going to tell you which of these models it used, how much it scaled, and remind you that it did it with their program. And then we can just hit upscale, but that will slow my computer down, and I've already done that. So we're going to go into Photoshop now, and I'm going to show you how Photoshop's Upscaler works. So I have this image here. Again, we're going to go into Filter, and then we're going to go down to Neural Filters right here. And it's going to pop this up, and you're going to click on Super Zoom, but that's not going to be enough. You actually have to slide it over here. And just like all the other ones, we're going to go to 4x. And then we're not going to touch these because you're going to have problems with your seamless wrap if you sharpen it. It's going to create a white line down the center, and your customers are not going to want that white line. So just leave those the way they are. But down here, you can see, well, first of all, I kind of paused because I saw the 7 minutes down at the bottom, and let me tell you why it's doing that. It's doing that because my image, I've already upscaled it, and it's really large here. So if I delete this, I take it back to the original where I, before I upscaled it, and it's just that 1250. It's going to be smaller, you see here. And then if I go back into Filter, Neural Filters, and I go back over to Super Zoom, and I 4x it again, you're going to see instead of that 12 minutes that we were seeing, we're now down to seconds. Another interesting thing is even if I didn't have that large image in there, but I just increased my canvas size before I did this, it is also going to take that really long time. I believe it's 6 minutes, not 12, but I have seen 12 or 20 or even 30 minutes. So that is something we want to avoid by not upscaling our canvas before we go into the neural filters. So you can see it's already done. That was worth it for me to back out. And I can hit OK here, and it's going to put it on a new layer. The default will be new document. If you have new document as your default, it's going to open a new document. It's going to be correctly cropped and all ready to go for you to just save it. But if you want to stay in your current file, you can hit New Layer, and it's going to pop up with a new layer. And what you're going to notice here is I can only see a portion of the image. I need to increase my canvas size. I can do that by going into the crop and just dragging this out until I get to where I want. Sorry about that. Or I can go into Image, Canvas Size, and I can type 5,000 by 5,000. I know it's not 5,000 tall, but I want to show you here what happens is I have all this extra space, and then I would just be able to crop it visually down. And you'll notice it pops when it gets to the edge. It does for me. And that helps me find the edge really quickly. And then I can crop it, and it's done. But let's undo that. Let me show you a third way. A third way is you can come over here into your Layers panel. If you don't have your Layers panel, just go to your Window and Layers. And if you're on a PC and that is not the case for you, get with me, comment down below, and I'll help you get to it. So while we're hovering over this layer, if you hold the Command on Mac or the Control on Windows and you click, you're not going to see, but it is actually selected. It's got the marching ants all the way around the image, but because it's outside of our canvas, we can't see it. The next thing we want to do is make sure we're not on the crop tool, so anywhere outside the crop tool. Then we want to go in the crop tool, and now you can see our bounding box is what this is called. And if we just hit enter, it's going to say this is where you want to crop, and then we can hit enter again, and now it's cropped. So this image is ready to go. We could save this and we could move forward. We're going to close that, and now we're going to go look and compare what it looks like with the different image scalers. We still have our wonderful lady here. I love her as an example because we can check our gradient and how smooth that is in this, and we can also look at her clear eyes and all the detail on her face. So I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of see a little bit of that detail. So if you look, this is the Photoshop upscale. This is the gigapixel upscale. It is a little softer, so if you like that soft look, that would be a good option for you. This is the Kittle upscale, which I then brought in here, and you'll notice that a lot of the details in her face have disappeared. That is not something that I am going for, so that would be another reason I would not choose to use the Kittle. So let's hide Kittle and let's compare gigapixel to my favorite, which is upscale by far, and look at the detail that that brings in. It does bring in more of a smoothing effect, which you may not like if you've got a lot of intricate details, but I have not found that to be an issue on any of my images. That is the gigapixel, and that is the upscale. Here's your Photoshop, and here is your upscale. Pretty darn good. So let's look at the stained glass here. I'm going to show you the whole image, but we're going to look up closer to the image where we can see like part of the leaf and the flower in the background. So this is the Photoshop here that you're looking at. And then if you unclick that, if I unclick that, you're going to see the gigapixel version. And let's compare that again. What I notice is that there's a little bit more contrast in the way of the Photoshop does it for this image than there is in the gigapixel. I don't think that one is right or the other. It's just a matter of personal preference. But let's now compare gigapixel to upscale. So you can see that there is a lot more brilliance and color with this upscale, and it's dynamic to me. We're going to compare upscale to Photoshop, and there's your comparison. You can see the difference. It kind of gets rid of some of that noise as well, which I like. So let's compare one more here. Let's look at puppies. I know they're so cute. This is the Photoshop upscale that you're looking at. This is the gigapixel, and this is the upscale. Again, I kind of like the way the upscale looks, especially if you're going to be working with graphics. And come up close here, you can see that this is the upscale, this is the gigapixel, and this is the Photoshop. I think that it looks great. We're going to pop over to a car here, and I will show you the whole image, but we're going to focus down and look at the spots up here in the shadow area. You see these Photoshop spots they look fine, but they're a little soft, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So if we unclick that, do you see the detail that came back in? Let me show you again. Photoshop, gigapixel. And then if we go and we look at upscale, that's the upscale version, and that's the gigapixel version. If you would like to compare it when it's out further, this is gigapixel, and this is upscale. I think that it does a really nice job, both of them. By the way, gigapixel is $99 flat price instead of $60 a year, and so you will not have to keep paying for it over and over. When they get a new version, you will have to pay an upgrade fee if you choose to upgrade, which they'll probably have better technology when they do that, and then you could pay to upgrade. But upscale is free, and if you use Photoshop, then the Neuro Filters is included for free. Let's look at one more here. Let's look at this cow. So this is a graphic image. I put this up in here so that you could see what a graphic looks like. Again, I'm going to kind of zoom in so you can see the detail here. We're looking at the Photoshop upscale right now. And then this is the gigapixel. It is a little clearer, but I don't see a lot of difference. Not enough to pay for it for sure. And then this is the upscale version. So you can see that the upscale is crystal clear. That's the gigapixel, and that's the upscale. So I really like that. And I do have one more that I really would like to pull up for you. A bunny. I mean, because who doesn't love bunnies? This bunny is on a white background, so we don't need to look at the whole background. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see his eye and that flower. Right now we are looking at the Photoshop upscale, and now we're looking at the gigapixel upscale, and in this one the gigapixel actually went softer instead of the Photoshop, whereas before it was the Photoshop that was softer. And then if we come in here and we look at the upscale, now I think that we have some really great in focus areas, but we also don't lose the softness of the bunny. So my vote is upscale. It's free. It does the best job. Tell me what you think down below. Which one is your preferred method? And by the way, if you'd like to practice on these images, down below in the description, I'm going to include a link to Dropbox for these files so you can play around with them. And I've gone back to my older videos and I've added files for you to play along as well there. So let me know what you think here at Dana Digital Tutorials. And I know I just messed that all up. Dana Digital Tutorials. I hope that you really enjoyed this. Have a great day.